If you want to make a lot more money and build real wealth, then you're going to need to do things different than most people. And one of those things is looking for the clues and the secrets for how to actually build real wealth in different places. Places like this kid's book right here, published 40 years ago, called The Berenstain Bears' Trouble with Money. Now, I hear you, a kid's book. Really, Adam? To which I say, yes, a kid's book. But not just any kid's book, because this book contains some of the most important wealth-building lessons of all time, complete with a list of money-making principles that are more important now than ever before. So if you want to make a ton more money, become financially independent, and build real wealth, then let's get started with lesson number 1, which is that making money is a skill that anyone can learn, but most people never do. Here's the deal. Most financial and money-making advice out there sounds good, but doesn't work for most people most of the time. And that's kind of the standard you should be shooting for when evaluating a financial strategy or piece of advice and trying to decide if it's right for you. Just ask yourself, does this strategy work for most people most of the time? And if no, then you should probably find another approach. The problem, though, is that a wealth-building strategy can be accurate, or factual, or technically true, and yet still be total garbage advice that just isn't gonna do you any good. For example, 2 of the biggest pieces of financial money-making advice out there are number 1, pay off and never have any debt, and number 2, cut your expenses down to the most minimal and meager existence possible. Now, these are technically solid, factual, accurate pieces of advice that if you follow, you will build wealth, eventually. But first, debt isn't the devil that you may have been told to believe. When used correctly, it's a powerful tool that you can use to create leverage, and it's a tool that most, if not all, of the ultra-rich people I know use. All the time. Next, cutting your expenses is only going to get you so far. Eventually, you're gonna run out of things to cut. So the focus always needs to be on earning more, which you'll do by creating more value, but more on that in just a minute. Most importantly though, these are not the strategies that most of the multimillionaires you see creating their fortunes use. Especially the ones that are doing it quickly. And by quickly, I mean within 3 to 5 years, sometimes 7 to 10 years, but certainly not working a job you hate for 40 years, trying to save money by giving up coffee. This is why the first thing the little bear cubs do is go out and focus on making money. And the book has a line that I think is important here, which is that it turned out that the cubs were very good at earning money once they set their minds to it. And it's the setting their minds to it part that I really think needs to get hammered in here. Making money, becoming financially independent, building wealth, or getting rich isn't just something that happens by accident. Again, if it did, then everyone would be rich. But most people aren't. They're average. This isn't a good or bad, right or wrong judgment thing, it's just math. So if you want something different, then you need to do something different. Something different like taking financial advice from fictional cartoon bears in a children's book. Yeah, that doesn't sound sketchy at all. But the next lesson is the way that the cubs made money, which is through value creation, and the best thing to focus on, which again is something anyone can do. I heard it said once that if you want to make $1 million, you need to help 1 million people solve a $1 problem, or help a single person solve a $1 million problem. And of course, all the variations that take place in between as well, like helping 1,000 people solve a $1,000 problem, or helping 100 people solve a $10,000 problem. The cubs do this by picking wildflowers and then adding value by arranging them into bouquets. They do this by picking berries and then delivering them door to door. They take people on guided tours around bear country. They offer pet mining services, and they start an info business by showing people, or bears I guess, where to find the best honey trees. All of these are ordinary things, flowers, berries, tours, maps, but they found a way to add value to each one through design and delivery, the fulfillment, the service, essentially making each one more valuable and therefore more profitable. And that's what value creation is all about, turning labor and resources into something that meets the needs of others. And they got this, so business is good for the cubs. So good in fact that they're now making more money than they ever have before and more than they ever thought possible, which leads us to the next lesson, which is all about the power and the problems with money. All right, so at this point of the book, the Cubs business is doing awesome. They're banking cash and making sales and changing the world and becoming tiny little bear cub tycoons. But their dad, Papa Bear, is starting to become a little bit concerned with just how obsessed about money the Cubs are. That is, right up until the point that the Cubs walk up to Papa Bear with a big fat stack of cash and they give it to him in order to help take away some of his concerns about money. And I'll admit, as a father, that part hit me right there. And there are a couple very important takeaways. First, money makes you more of what you already are. If you're kind and generous, well, money gives you the ability and the power to help even more people. If you're greedy and mean, well, money is gonna make you more so, which is gonna make you a bit of a villain and part of what gives rich people that bad reputation you see in the media. What's so powerful, though, about having money and about making earning more money such a major priority in your life is that it does really give you the power to help more people and to make more of a positive impact, and yes, to even change the world. Next, money does solve problems, but only money problems. In other words, if you're hurt or injured or sick or tired or angry or alone or in a bad relationship, money might be able to get you better help, but it's not gonna make those problems disappear. I used to work for a number of billionaires, and I can tell you firsthand that when they had a cold or a sore throat or they were having a fight with a family member, all of the money didn't make a lick of difference. Those problems were still very much there. That said, in my life, I've been rich and I've been poor, and as anybody who's ever been broke before knows, struggling to make ends meet and just to get by, it's not a whole lot of fun. Most importantly though, being broke is certainly not the secret to an amazing and awesome life full of impact and influence, and again, trying to make the world just a little bit better. Bit of a side note here, but this is why I have such a problem when people say you shouldn't work so hard, or it's all about balance, or you're focusing on the wrong things, or basically anything else to try to curb your ambition or tell you that what you're working for just isn't important. This is why I think you should do what the Cubs did. Work like crazy until you have enough, but then make sure to look behind you or pull the next person up to where you are now. The Cubs did this by trying to share all the money that they'd made with their parents. But their parents suggested that they invest their money instead, which leads us to the next lesson on compounding. Now, because this is a children's book, it obviously didn't go into detail on dollar cost averaging into index funds, the investing strategy that Warren Buffett recommends for most people. But it does touch on the fact that you should invest your money so that you can collect interest on it, which at the time that the book was written, well, interest rates were around 10%, which is pretty decent. And I think this is important for two reasons. The first of which is that investing and allowing your money to make money on itself through the power and magic of compound interest really is one of the best hacks in all of wealth building in order to grow your money exponentially. But maybe the most important point of all here is that by having an investment account, it allows you to take your money and get it out of your checking account and to put it somewhere else that you can't see it as easily or maybe have as quick access to it. This in turn helps to prevent overspending or impulse buying or simply buying something because you've got the money there. More importantly though, and where I like to imagine the book would go if they wrote just say 10 more pages or so, is what the Cubs would have done next and the value that they really got from all of these exercises, which is compounding skills. You see, to get to the real secret of the book and the real powerful takeaway, you need to read between the lines a little bit. Yes, the Cubs start a business and provide a ton of value by offering and providing products and services that other members of their community want and need. But it's by doing this that they're developing skills that are gonna pay off for months and years and decades to come. And the most valuable skill that they're learning is how to market themselves as well as their products and services and how to make sales. Which means they now have an unlimited ceiling on how much money they can make and how wealthy they can become. So to help you do the same, I've linked up a video right here with some of my best and most effective marketing strategies to help you grow any business. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in that video. Depending on if you're selling something for low dollar value or high dollar value, it's kind of universally agreed that for somebody to make a purchase decision, for someone to take action and actually